how to speak more confidently in any situation. Talking is something that most of us do on a daily basis. As such, most of us will probably say that, for the most part, we feel pretty good doing it. We can talk to our parents, our friends, our partners. But then, when we really need that gift of the gab, it can end up letting us down. This is what happens when we're in a physical or verbal confrontation. It's what happens when many of us go on dates, and it's what happens when we're in interviews. The problem isn't talking. The problem is talking confidently. So in this presentation, we're going to look at how you can always do that, no matter the circumstances. Tip 1. Stand up. The first tip is to fix your body language, and specifically, that means you should stand more erect with your chest somewhat puffed out. Doing this will immediately make you take up more physical space, making you more dominant and helping you to at least seem more confident. At the same time, this will help with the acoustics of your voice and mean that everything you say comes out louder and more clearly. Tip 2. Speak more slowly. The more nervous we are, the faster we tend to talk. This has the effect of making our voice sound higher pitched, weaker, and ultimately less confident. Your job then is to try and overcome this by speaking more slowly. This makes you sound instantly deeper and more confident, and it makes the content of what you're saying seem more considered and trustworthy. Tip 3. Breathe. If you are panicked and if you're shaking, then you will sound nervous. That stands to reason. Try to get your physiological response under control then. The best way to do this is to breathe more slowly and more fully, which will help to get your parasympathetic nervous system back under control so that your heart stops racing. Tip 4. Relax. When you are nervous, the release of hormones and neurotransmitters tends to make you tense up and become more physically anxious. By relaxing, you can counteract this fact and you can loosen the muscles around your throat and vocal cords, making you sound deeper, more powerful, and more confident. And finally, tip 5, make eye contact. Often the best way to become more confident is to act more confident until that becomes a reality. And one of the best ways to act more confident? Make eye contact with whoever it is that you're talking to. Quick ways to boost your confidence. Want to raise your confidence and raise your game? It takes a long time to address the kinds of deep-seated insecurities that lead to chronic low esteem. But that said, there are some things that you can do right now that will have short-term and immediate benefits to raise your confidence. Let's take a look at some of the best. Adopt a power position. Using larger body language exhibits more confidence, but it also actually triggers the release of testosterone and other chemicals that make you feel more assertive, aggressive, and successful. Remember something you did well. Think about the last time you absolutely killed it and try to remember that occasion. Now live in that moment for a while and let it psych you up into the same mental state you experienced the first time round. Work out. Work out makes us more confident in a whole ton of different ways. Not only does working out trigger the release of adrenaline, testosterone, and more hormones that boost confidence, but it also makes us feel good because we've done something productive. Which leads us to the next point. do something productive. Just doing something quickly that will offer a quick win is a great way to raise confidence too. Make the bed, tidy the kitchen, shoot off a quick email, get something done and feel good about it. Listen to some music. There are a lot of music tracks out there that are built around raising your confidence and self-esteem. Might I suggest some tracks by the artist Stan Bush, which are all about killing it? Spend time with friends. If you have just a little bit of time to build your confidence, then try spending some time with friends or a partner, anyone who makes you feel good about yourself. As a side note, you need more of these kinds of people in your life and fewer of the ones that make you feel worthless. Do something scary. Even better than quickly doing something productive is to quickly do something that you're normally afraid to do. This is an even more powerful quick win. It could mean that you give a talk in public or that you attempt a backflip. Facing fears ultimately diminishes them. Finally, fix up your look. The way we look has a big impact on the way we feel. Fix up your outfit. Get a haircut or have a shave. Feel like $1,000,000. 3 things you're doing that damage your confidence. A lot of people have problems with their self-confidence and don't feel quite as pleased about who they are as maybe they should. We've all had those days where we feel a bit worthless, and we've all had interactions with people where we felt like we don't belong or weren't as impressive somehow as the others in the group. And often we feel like victims for this reason. We feel as though we've been dealt a bad hand to have such low self-esteem. But guess what? You might also be somewhat responsible. Not only is it your responsibility to dig yourself out of that pit, but you might also be the one who put yourself there in the first place. In this presentation, we'll cover 3 things that you're doing that damage your self-esteem. Replaying uncomfortable experiences. When someone says something cruel about you, how do you react? Many of us respond by replaying what they've said in our heads over and over again. And we do the same thing when we trip over and embarrass ourselves in public. And we do the same thing when we've had a bad date or a bad interview. You get the point. While it's useful to replay these events to look for things we could do better, it becomes destructive if we do this over and over, and you end up cementing certain neural pathways. So, have a debrief, then move on. Being too polite and humble. It's nice to be polite and humble to some extent, but there becomes a point where it actually just amounts to putting yourself down. If you're constantly humble, then you are positioning yourself below others. And eventually you start to believe that's where you should be. And so do other people. Playing it safe. Essentially, a lack of confidence comes down to fear. Usually, this means a fear of getting it wrong. The only way to get over that fear is to prove to yourself that it's unfounded. How? By facing that fear. And that means getting out of your comfort zone and taking risks. If you're shy of social situations, then put yourself out there and speak to people. If you're unconfident in doing DIY, then grab that drill and start getting to work. This takes courage. And ultimately, courage is the #1 tool for vanquishing a lack of confidence. 5 easy tricks to stay calm in a stressful situation. Being able to keep level-headed in a stressful situation is an incredibly powerful gift. This is what will allow you to best deal with the situation, and it is what will help you to rise to a position of leadership within any given group. The only problem? We are biologically hardwired in a way that makes this very difficult. Our bodies react to stressful situations by releasing hormones and neurotransmitters designed to get our hearts racing and our blood pumping. This makes it very hard indeed for us to remain calm. Here are 5 things you can do to overcome that urge. Detach yourself. One great way to remain calm and to make sure you act sensibly is to try and detach yourself from the situation. By this, I mean that you effectively remove your personal stake in the situation by asking not what you should do, but what a person should do. Try to judge the situation objectively and in a removed manner. Breathe. Breathing more deeply and more slowly will bring into action your rest and digest state through the parasympathetic nervous system, and it will counteract some of the physiological changes going on in your body right now. Ask yourself the best scenario. Having a clear goal can often help you in a high-stress situation. Instead of floundering, first, task yourself with asking what the best outcome you could achieve is. Then, take steps to help yourself get to that point. Accept failure. Another thing to do is to accept the possibility of failure and be okay with it. Be okay with being hurt, with making matters worse, or with being shouted at. Very often in a stressful situation, we find ourselves so worried about potentially making matters worse or making ourselves responsible that we end up frozen in indecision. Pick a decision and act on it. So, with that in mind, the final thing to do is simply to take these matters into your own hands. That means acting on whatever it is you have decided to do, and it means not spending any more time considering the possibilities. Our anxiety actually comes from picturing events and specifically picturing the worst-case scenarios. As far as our biology is concerned, this makes it as though the worst-case scenarios were happening. So, instead of thinking, just act. 5 style tips that will boost your confidence. The way you look and the way you dress can make a huge impact on the way that you come across and the way that you feel. We judge books by their covers all the time, even though we know better, and first impressions are terribly hard to shake. But it goes deeper than that and becomes a matter of self-fulfilling prophecies. If you feel good about what you wear, and if you think you look good, then you will walk taller, speak louder, and generally present yourself in a manner that makes you more impressive. And that changes the way that others react to you and the confidence they put in you. This in turn makes you feel even better about yourself. So it's what you call a virtuous cycle, where one positive change to your outfit can result in a cascade of changes to massively impact how you act and feel. Here are 5 tips to set you on your way. Get a good haircut. And go regularly. This can make a massive difference to your overall appearance. Having long hair with split ends or hair that's just too overgrown to style properly just makes you look a little messy and as though you rushed out of bed. Not a good look. Wear good shoes. Get a good pair of shoes and a good bed, because if you're not in one, you're in the other. Many people judge others on the basis of their shoes, and this is something we wear nearly every day. Invest some more money here than you do elsewhere in your wardrobe. Wear something loud. Guys, every now and then it's a good idea to wear something a little louder, whether that means a white suit or a bright shirt. It says you're confident and not afraid to be the center of attention. And women, try wearing a little red lipstick or some big heels. Again, loud choices make you appear proud of your new look. Fewer, nicer items. It's far better to have a few high-quality items than lots of low-quality ones. People can see the difference. Be comfy. But finally, make sure you're also comfortable in what you wear. If you wear uncomfortable clothes, then it will play on the back of your mind and it will interfere with your performance.